Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Jack OATz to go. You either know or you don't. First and foremost, as always, thank you guys so much for the support and just tuning into the video. It means a lot. We're getting closer to 500 subs. I mean, you guys heard me say before, I don't really care about numbers, but it's pretty cool regardless that you guys continue to even watch and listen to any of my crackpot theories here. So it's pretty cool. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the channel. So just keep letting me know what you guys like and things you want me to go over, and I'll see what I can do. Anyway, this video is going to be really, really interesting, you guys. I don't think I've ever been this excited to actually share some stuff that I found. And the reason I'm so ecstatic about this particular thing is just based on the fact that this confirms a lot of what was really just headcanon on my part. I'll be reading a whole lot from this book that goes over the Temple of the Black Light. Okay, and I don't know how to describe it without giving everything away, but I hope you guys really listen into this. I will also I'll be pausing to make the parallels from the philosophies in this compared to Black Clover and what's happening in it. This first part is definitely going to be more related to Asta and Liebe and what they're all about. So I think it's going to be very groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking to me, and some of the things that I've been thinking on this channel for a while now. So it's just nice to have some confirmation behind what I've been saying this whole time. So, like I said, this is actually about the Temple of the Black Light. This is the left-hand path of Luciferianism. So this is a legitimate, I won't say religion, but more, and it might more be a cult. But it is. People do follow this mode of thinking. So it's not only interesting, but it's kind of insightful, some of the things that they bring up and how they bring it about. So I mean, let's just hop into this. So this first part is called Chaosophy. The following texts offer a glimpse into the chaosophical ideologies of the Gnostic Luciferianism / Satanism of the Temple of the Black Light. The texts presented touch upon subject matter that can give the discerning reader insight into some of the fundamental aspects of the anti-cosmic system of thought. So not even 10 seconds in, we already have the prefix anti and cosmic. To go on, these texts are based on doctrine that is relevant to the different lines of practice within the 218 current, and some are based on private correspondences concerning such teachings and practice. While the inner essence of the chaosophical system of thought is beyond the limiting media of words, it is our hope that these texts will aid in guiding the few of spiritual worth to the concealed core of the inner sanctum, where they may, of their own accord, drink from the fountain of knowledge and partake of the black light of chaos. Okay, so that's just a brief introduction of chaosophy. So to go further into this, chaos is the pan-dimensional plane and or power with infinite amounts of time and space dimensions, in contrast to cosmos, which only have 3 spatial dimensions and 1 linear time dimension. Now, I think this part is really important, where we have a contrast between chaos, which is pan-dimensional, which is infinite, which has infinite times and space dimension, and then we have the cosmos, which only have 3 spatial dimensions and 1 linear time dimension. And we were just introduced to the 3 pillars, who have space, spatial magic, gravity magic, and time magic. So we can firmly say that these guys are more cosmic beings, where chaos, as we're going to get into this, is above the 3 of these. And this could ultimately end up being what they're supporting, but we'll go into this and I'll explain more. So in comparison with the linear time of cosmos, chaos can be described as timeless in the way that it is not contained, nor limited by one-dimensional time, and formless because of its ever-changing and infinite amount of space dimensions. Cosmos is casual, which means that it is bound by the law of cause and effect, which is karma, while chaos is totally acasual, or akarma, and free from all limitations of causal law. So, just looking at this and then comparing it to guys like Asta and Liebe, this is a thing that I touched on a couple of times way back, especially when talking about the Sisters of Fate. It seems as though, since everything pretty much has mana for the most part, if we have the Sisters of Fate, which we're kind of confirming that there are, with Vanessa just existing, and then possibly even Gray, we can see that if they're going to manipulate fate, they need mana to do this. And the fact that Asta is without mana, he is free from the strings of fate. He can make his own destiny, his own path, and therefore he is acausal and akarma. And as well as Liebe, while he is not he is monoless. He has anti-magic, which would cause him to break free from the chains of fate that we see in Norse lore with the Sisters of Fate. So, a very interesting thought right there. To keep going, again, like I said, it's going to be kind of a long read, but still very interesting. All right. So, chaos is the eternal and lawless becoming and is therefore an active and dynamic form of eternity. Chaos was, chaos is, and chaos becomes all and nothing at one and the same time. Chaos is therefore the only true freedom and the your essence beyond all the confining structures of cosmic existence. All possibilities exist within the boundless chaos, and among them also is the possibility for the birth of cosmic existence. But the chaos that surrounds cosmos is anti-cosmic, because its pan-dimensional and formless power acts as the antithesis to the formed, limiting, and casual structures of the finite order of cosmos. The chaos that pervades the barriers of cosmic space-time is therefore experienced from the cosmic perspective as destructive, dissolving, and consuming. How would you describe anti-magic? You would probably describe it as destructive, dissolving, and consuming. Okay. This is because it dissolves the limiting structures and forms and instead reinstates the formless and unbound state of acausality, which is the origin and end of all. Very interesting, right? Chaos is that which more or less interpenetrates all that exists from the smallest to the greatest. But within the few places where its powers are focused in the casual world, the gates to the acausal are opened, and it is through these nexions that the emanations of chaos can flow into the cosmos. Chaos interpenetrates all worlds and exists even within and beyond the absolute incomprehensible emptiness. Chaos is pan-dimensional and at the same time zero-dimensional. Chaos is timely and timeless. It moves within the space continuum, but is spaceless. It is the origin of all, out of which everything has been created, and at the same time that it is all, it is also nothing. So it is and it is not. It's almost like, and this is why I've been making these parallels between Yuno and Liebe, how Yuno could have ether, and Liebe has this ether-like substance about him too, but it's darker. And they're both there but not there, because if you go back to the thread I made on Twitter, I break down what Einstein really thought about ether and how scientists view it. They think it's there. It's almost like black matter. They think it's there, but they have no proof that it's there, but it has to be there. So it's just one of those things that exists but does not exist. So to keep going. Chaos is its own cause and effect that in its unbound becoming both creates and destroys. Chaos is the zeroth dimension, which is the space-timeless your essence of the unknown god or goddess, and it is the zeroth force that within itself bears the seed to all dimensions, manifested and unmanifested. Chaos is unbound progression and lawless becoming, which cosmos, with its stagnating forms, limits. The lawlessness of chaos transcends the causal laws of cosmos and its ordered structure, and is therefore, from the chaos Gnostic perspective, the ultimate freedom beyond the fetters of cosmic bondage. Evolution is the way chaos hastens the return of all to its own acausal flames, while stagnation is the cosmic way of holding on to the constraining forms, laws and structures of the causal. The black flame, or the acausal fire, which is the spiritual essence behind, within, and beyond the causal forms of the fireborn man and woman, is our link to the essence that is chaos. Now, remember, this is going back to that Jacob's Ladder concept, the four worlds of the Kabbalah. That's what they mean by fireborn man and woman. This is when things start to take shape. So, again, super interesting stuff that connects very well to what we've been talking about on this channel. Our I, or the ego, is shaped and formed by limitations of cosmic existence, while our self, which is the wholeness of our inner acausal core beyond the hylic forms of our ego, is the same as the latent inner force of chaos that we call the black flame. The I is the focal point of the self that is bound and fixated to the cosmos, which it has been tricked to glance at. The ego, or the I, is therefore the conscious or dayside mind, and the I, which is blinded by the light of the cosmos. The self, on the other hand, is the spirit and flame of chaos beyond the gates of the unconscious mind. The self is therefore the dark as an outside the light of the false god, an hidden essence that links us to the primeval chaos and the acausal. By looking within the abyss of the self, we can find the keys to chaos. Now, this one sentence says a whole lot and connects us back to the video that I made about the Order of the Silver Star, the Order of the Golden Dawn, and the Order of the Rosy Cross. At a point, before you reach Ipsissimus, you have to lose yourself to the abyss, or give yourself up to the abyss, which is Dot on the Tree of Life and the Tree of Death. You must completely surrender to it, and if you don't completely surrender to it, you are destroyed, and you are reborn into the chaos cycle, and you would thus have to start all over again, essentially. So this really connects back to that whole Jacob's Ladder and everything that we've gone over in the past month, at least. And through the hidden gates within the unconscious mind that open to the acausal self, Azah, we can increase our self-consciousness within our lives and direct the focal point, that is the I, or ego, towards the inner black flame, and fully open the nexion between the blinded I of the ego and the all-seeing I of the self. This would lead to the increase of the acausal currents, Adazat, and in the end result in the opening of the eyes of the dragon and the liberation of the pan-dimensional self. So we're talking about complete ascension from what we're doing. And remember, it was in the Order of the Silver Star video, I talked about how Yuno and Asta could reach this point of becoming what is called the Ipsissimus. And that would mean they lose their soul, and their soul ascends and changes, while their body doesn't necessarily die, but goes into a death-like state. Go back to that video if you're not sure what I'm talking about. It does detail a lot about all of that. The spirit point of the pentagram represents the acausal self that has been repressed and restrained by the four formed elements, which symbolize the fourfold covering of the ego. By returning the four elements of the physical, astral, mental, and spiritual casual to the all-devouring acasual fires of the spirit self, the ego can become reabsorbed by and revert to the wholeness of the self and become liberated and one with the chaos unbound. This return to the acausal origin can only be initiated through the pure self-knowledge, or the gnosis of the inner divine flame, that must be reached through the direct experience with both the inner pan-dimensional force, or the black flame, and the outer acausal power, the dark gods. Within numerological context, 0 is the symbol of the womb of the zero-dimensional chaos, while 1 stands for the contracting or coagula and forming or ordering impulse of the cosmic creation creator. Now, what they're bringing up here, they're going to start going in numbers. I would like you guys to remember that in the order of the silver star, as we go up the tree of life, they have 2 numbers. On one side you have 1, the other side you have 10. And this is what they're referring to. This is, again, referring to Jacob's Ladder. Now, this is also, if you are on game to some of the more occult stuff, you see the word coagula in there. And this is referring to Baphomet. And this is where you get the left-hand path and the right-hand path. One is coagulate, and the other one is, what is that? I'm forgetting what the other one is. Coagulate and, oh, God. I'll remember it sometime in this video. But the 2 arms of Baphomet mean 2 different things. While one brings together, the other one separates. So to bring it together, Baphomet is actually, in some Luciferian orders, not actually evil. It's actually a balance of being. However, if you do favor one side, you usually end up becoming imbalanced, which is not good as far as ascension of the soul and the self. So I'm going to keep going here. All numbers from 1 to 10 stand for different stages of causal creation and emanation, which culminate in the number 10 that stands for cosmic completion. Now, cosmic completion, I want you guys to remember that 10, in this sense, is Keter. Now, there's also a 10 on Malkut, which is kingdom. So it really depends on which way you're going to. So they'll go on to say that 10 also stands for law, order, manifestation of form, which is important. That is exactly what Malkut is, the manifestation of form. Restriction, the closed circle that within itself has captured the fallen flames of chaos, the ego, and repression of the acausal self. 11, which is the number of the anti-cosmic chaos, symbolizes therefore that which steps over and goes beyond the cosmic 10. 11 stands for lawlessness, freedom, formlessness, and the breaking of the closed circle. 11 is the gate to the primeval chaos and the road through which the essence can transcend the restrictions of forms. Therefore, 11 also symbolizes the completion of anti-cosmic evolution and the realization of hidden, dark, and acausal potential. So I don't know if you guys are picking up what this whole thing is saying and how we can relate this to Black Clover, but I'm here to break it down for you guys. The number 11 is highly important in Black Clover right now. Is pretty big. Now, with Asta's Devil Union form, we see the morning star dead center of his chest that also acts as a timer. But then you also see the light symbol outside of that on his chest. Now, the symbol has 6 big points, and then there's 2 small points on the side. Now, while trying to look up things with like 8 points, I mean, there's a lot of things that come up, but it's kind of forced to relate them to Asta, and these points are so small on his chest. To stretch this, I don't even want to count it, because then you have this 6-pointed star on Asta with this 5-pointed star in the center, and 6 plus 5 is 11, and so this gives you this 11-angled sigil, even though they're not combined or anything, and one exists within the other, but it seems like it's going towards that route. Okay, so this goes on to say the 11-angled sigil, or the sigil of Azarte in the Temple of the Black Light, is therefore a sigillic manifestation of Gnosis that, with its 11 angles, can open the dark gate, or the black hole, to acausal freedom beyond the limitations of cosmic law and existence. The dragon is also an ancient symbol of chaos. The pre-cosmic chaos is within the oldest streams of chaos gnosis, represented by the dragon mother Tiamat, while the wrathful and post-cosmic chaos is represented by the black dragon, or the black light, Hubert, which is chaos, or Tiamat, enraged. It is the wrathful chaos that gave birth to the 2 and the 11 in order to destroy the 1 that emanated out of the womb, 0, of the primal chaos. Through the recognition and awakening of the black dragon of acausal fire, the adept can open the destroying eye of the self, or the eye of Lucifer, Rudra, or Abaddon, and annihilate the illusions and enslaving forms of cosmic existence. And it says Hail Chaos and all that. So, very interesting stuff. I know I kind of made it a stretch to like take away the 2 other points on the sides to make that 11, but trust me, there's more stuff in this that will kind of open your eyes to some cool stuff happening and some things that we've already gone over. So it goes on to say, with many satanic traditions, it is stated that Lucifer and Satan are 2 separate powers standing for wholly different principles, elements, and concepts, something that we just went over. According to many of these traditions, the cardinal point associated with Satan is south, the element of fire, while Lucifer is assigned to the eastern point of the compass, which is the element of air. We've also said that in other videos talking about and Asta, Liebe and Asta. Go back and watch those videos. This has been said before. In this short text, we have as our aim to state our gnosis about the subject and explain why, according to our own tradition in current 218, the above-mentioned ideas about Lucifer and Satan being 2 separate powers are wrong. Within our Temple of the Black Light, both Lucifer and Satan are used as forms, descriptions, and representations of one and the same essence. Our understanding is that there's a difference between rendering the words Lucifer and Satan as just forms and descriptions and believing that they are the true names of that which they represent. This is because our tradition states that the ancient dark gods are all nameless and beyond causal comprehension, and that all forms given to them by humans are just that, forms, and not something that should be viewed as static in essence and meaning. So this is exactly what I've been saying for these past few videos, is that when we can't get crazy about finding out these names like Lucifugus and Lucifero, these are more so titles that were given to them, and this is just much better worded than I've been doing. It's because these dark gods are beyond comprehension, so we give them names to better our understanding of what they do and how they work, and all of that. So these are more so their titles. Okay, and I know some of you guys are probably stuck on the fact that it says like Satan and Lucifer are one being, and yes, this is exactly what I've been saying too. And if you watched my last video, you're probably a little mistaken if you are like, hey, you're contradicting yourself. Because no, there's Lucifer and there's Lucifugio Focal. And Lucifugio Focal is very different from Satan, and who I also, in that picture on the clip art that I drew, I have Lucifer right next to the word Satan. They are one and the same in my theory here. And this further, like I said in the beginning, kind of confirms what I've been theorizing. So, in order to focus our consciousness to and link our unconscious minds with the essence of these dark gods and establish contact with them, we need to penetrate the hidden heart of darkness and explore the concrete effect that these forces of black light have on ourselves and the world at large. After we have identified or experienced and on a deeper level intuitively understood the relevant effects that these acosmic powers have on spiritual, mental, astral, and physical planes of existence, we can try to use words and symbols in order to better and more easily grasp the transcendent core. It is only at the stage that the nameless ones can be given names. For to name a spiritual force within an esoteric context is the same thing as trying to with one or many words to describe and emphasize its most significant qualities, its inner essence, and the sum of its power as it is understood by the limited mind. Kind of what we just went over, but again, much better worded, of course. The greater the power or principle we try to grasp with the causal mind, the more words, names, and symbols will be needed to describe it. In the same way that the different names, words of power act as links between our conscious mind and the powers they are meant to describe, the more abstract symbols, sonic and linear sigils, are used as tools or keys to open the gates of the unconscious mind to the more hidden and formless essence of these nine-side emanations. Okay, so this is kind of what we were saying with how, for example, one of the devils that will be coming out pretty soon, his name is Baal, and that means Lord, Owner, or King. And you go to Belphegor and Beelzebub, where a different spelling of their name is Baal Peor, which is Lord of Sloth, and Baal Zebub, which is Lord of Flies. So as they were just saying, the more what were they just saying? The greater the power or the principle that we try to conceive, the more words we have to use to describe it, and that's why they have more words to their name, whereas Baal is just Baal. Not that it's insignificant, but it's not as significant as Baal Peor or Baal Berith or Baal Zebub. So very interesting, again, well put. Again, things that we've been saying on this channel for a very long time. So, to get into some juicier parts of this, Lucifer and Satan are two words that for us describe different aspects of one and the same spiritual force. The word Lucifer means bearer of light and describes the function and effect of the acosmic power that brings the gifts of forbidden wisdom, enlightenment, intellect, imagination, and gnosis. Lucifer is within the esoteric context the secret, invisible, and black fire, the first son or sun of the black light, that burns to ashes and dissolves all illusions and awakens and strengthens the inner black flame and opens the all-seeing eye of the self. So notice that they call it flames, and we kind of get, when we get anti-magic emanating from Asta, I won't say it looks just like flames, but it has this this way about it, the way it comes up, where you can just say like, okay, I see black fire, that's okay. But it goes on to say that it burns to ashes and dissolves all illusions. That's what anti-magic does. I mean, maybe not take this so literal, illusions, although it does, Asta does have a sword that does causality breaking that would probably break illusions. But it breaks spells and dissolves those spells that wouldn't naturally be there. And then it goes on to say it awakens and strengthens the inner black flame and the all-seeing eye of the self. Then we go on to say Lucifer is the antithesis of the demiurgic or archonic lie, and is the power that, according to the mythos, granted man and woman the fruit of the tree of Dot, which is the tree of knowledge. And I don't know why I didn't put this together, but the tree of Dot would be the tree that was in the Garden of Eden where Lucifer tempted Eve to eat the apple. Okay, so this is, again, Dot is the pathway to knowledge, is the doorway to heaven or hell, and in the underworld, Dot is where knowledge stops. So very interesting that they're talking about this. So to go back, Lucifer is the antithesis of the demiurgic or iconic lie, and is the power that, according to the mythos, granted man and woman the fruit of the tree of Dot, or the tree of knowledge, and gave them the opportunity to turn their backs on the tyrant god of the Hylic cosmos and instead walk the path towards self-divinity and freedom. Lucifer is within the context an anti-cosmic Prometheus that brings the forbidden fire of the gods to those who, through their own pneumatic nature, can comprehend it, and for them illuminates the hidden path to acausality and the eternal power beyond the shackles of the finite and clay-born ego. So we even talked about Asta possibly being born of clay, and not to say that he's just like this clay doll, but we did talk about how it's possible that Asta is using this this somewhat fake body, and it would explain why those hellworms didn't affect him as far as taking his life force, and this could be exactly why. This is so just cool to read, regardless of if you agree with the parallels or not. But Lucifer is the firebringer, who is the acosmic light of the Deus Absconditus, arouses the flames of spirit and awakens the elect from the illusory slumber of life, death, and rebirth, and thus acts as the adversary of the suppressing natural order of the cosmos. The firebringer is consequently he who separates the elect of the acosmic gods who have tasted the fruits of forbidden knowledge from the spiritless masses and the force that make the fireborn into the living gates to the black light. Lucifer is therefore the antithesis and enemy of limiting and stagnating structures of the cosmos and the eternal adversary of the powers that aim to limit the eternal and unbound becoming of the formless Azat. Okay, so while a lot of theologies look at Lucifer as this hinderer, Lucifer is actually against the limitation of what the cosmos set in place. And Lucifer, in this perspective, looks to free people of these limitations by bringing them back to chaos. Okay. Because of all the above-mentioned thoughts about the nature of this acosmic power, which we have linked to the forms of Lucifer, it should be clear that the bringer of forbidden light is the very same essence as the accuser, which is Satan, and the adversary called Satan. For Lucifer must, in order to enlighten, act upon an existing darkness, and in order to bring truth, he must first dispel the lie. So, it's just like negating magic. It's just, this is the truth. And I kind of go over this in one of my videos, I forget which one, but it's where I talk about how while they think having magic is normal, what they're doing is it's not natural for nature for these people to just spawn, giant sea dragons or tornadoes or painting the literal god Zeus to throw thunder. It's not natural. It's not the natural flow of things. So for Asta and Liebe to dispel these types of things, he's bringing the actual truth back to nature in a dark way. So it's just like you were saying, Lucifer has to act on an existing darkness to bring people to light. So very interesting way that they put it. So the very nature and effect of a Lucifer, and see they say of a Lucifer, makes him into a Satan of that which he must act as an antithesis of. Satan means adversary, opposer, and accuser. Satan and Lucifer are therefore not two separate entities, gods, principles, or powers, but one and the same essence of spiritual fire, throne of south. The word Lucifer describes our Father's effect on those of us who walk on the left-hand path and are in harmony with his dark gnosis, while Satan is the word that describes our Father's effects and reaction towards that which blots out the acosmic truth and those faithful and blighted slaves of the demiurge that walk on the right-hand path of the white light. Because of this gnosis about the true nature of Lucifer Satan, the name word Lucifer is often used during these rites that have as their aim to bring forth the blessings and the illumination of the black light, while the word or name Satan more often is uttered and called upon within more adversarial and destructive contexts. But both names represent the exact same essence, just seen from two different perspectives. Lucifer Satan is the outer eternal black fire whose reflection within the microcosm burns within us in the form of the black flame of spirit. Lucifer and Satan are only two of the many words or names that are used within satanic Luciferian tradition linked to firstborn of the black light. A few examples of other forms used within pantheons of the dark traditions that represent the same illuminating and adversarial power we have linked with Lucifer Satan are Kingu, Apep, Set, Typhon, Ahriman, Angra, Manu, Shaitan, Surt, Loki, Exu, Myral, Samael, Lotan, Diablos, Prometheus, and Azerate, which is a word linked to the fullness of the anti-cosmic power of the night side. Before any of the above-mentioned words or names can be used in order to establish contact with the essence that our temple links to the forms of Lucifer Satan, their hidden meanings must first be understood and internalized by the initiate. For truth is all the names mentioned in the text represent, on different levels, one and the same power of our God and role model, the firstborn Son and Son of the Black Light. So, super cool. I'm actually going to skip this section. It's kind of irrelevant, but we're going to talk about this one. Okay, so this one is the three dark veils before Satan and the black light Gnosis. Okay, so you guys have heard me say when we talk about the tree of life, we have above Keter what is called the Ein Sophar, which is the demiurge, which is God before form. And as above, so below, as we have the opposites for each section of the tree of life, we have devils that reside in corresponding spaces. And just like we have the Ein Sophar that lies outside of the tree, we have what is, I believe they give it a name here, called the Sitra Ara. This is the opposite of the Ein Sophar. This is the dark demiurge. And this is where I've talked about where I believe Zagrid lies and whatnot. But we're actually going to get into some of this. I believe there's a section in here. Yeah, there is. That we're going to talk about a little bit about Zagrid and something that he did that kind of almost confirms what he did and where he comes from. So the first one, the outermost part of this of one of the three veils is Tohu, or known as 000, or Chaos, or is also called Kemetio, the crown of gods. Then you have the two zeros, known as Bohu, which is the emptiness. This is Belial. This is without God. Then you have 0, Chesek, which is the darkness, Athael, and that's uncertainty. So these are the three powers or dark veils before Satan, and are within our tradition seen as the three forces that came out of an Ein Sof in order to make way for the manifestation of the black light in the outer darkness that became Sitra Ara. These three powers can be seen as the burning trident held above the Thaumatin, two-headed master of Thaumael. Okay, so they talk about the Thaumael and they talk about this trident, right? We see Zagrid with this trident, and it breaks down the very nature of the spells, and he was able to summon this trident from his realm, is what he said, and also these monsters that came out of it. And it seems to me that if it's not from the very last clip with the Thaumael, it's from the outside. And this is kind of going back to one of the first excerpts of this whole thing, where they talk about the formlessness of these beings here, and why Zagrid seems to be the only devil to have made it to the world of the living without a body. He was just an ethereal being, and no other devil's been able to do that. So it seems to me that he existed outside of the tree, outside of those seals, and was able to find his way to the world of the living. But we'll keep reading here. These three powers can also be viewed as wrathful reflections of Ein, Ein Sof, and Ein Sophar. And as the three steps from Sitra Ara back to the womb of Tehom or Tiamat, or to the mystery unmanifested, or, for example, the primal chaos. We view Sitra Ara as the universe B, or the night side, not as the night side of Eden, but as the night side of Ein Soph's emanation. So it's just saying this is the opposite of the Ein Sophar, of the light God. This is the dark God. Established by the black light, or the left light, called Orshain Bo Masava, which means the light without any thought of creation. So, to go back to those like hellworms, those are destruction incarnate, really. It would devour anything that it touches. Everything at least has life force or mana, and it just completely breaks it down. So that's why I'm kind of thinking we get Zagrid from outside the tree. The meaning of Universe A and Universe B within our tradition is the following. Universe A equals universe of 1 or 10. A equals 1, 1 equals 10. Again, go back to that video where we have the Order of the Silver Star. We see that as you ascend the tree, you start out Malkut, which is 1 equals 10, and then you go up to 2 equals 9, right? Yeah, 2 equals 9, something like that, then 3 equals 8, and the numbers start shifting, okay? To go back, universe A equals universe of 1 or 10, A equals 1, 1 equals 10, which is the universe of cosmic order, law, stasis, and causality. As the 1 equals 10 is the closed circle, so is the universe A closed and separated from the pan-dimensional divine power. Universe B, which is the universe of 2 or 11, B equals 2, 2 equals 11, which is the universe of the counterlight, or divine antithesis, lawlessness, dynamic becoming, and a causality. This we see in the number of the letter B, which is 2, and 2 is the number of the thaumaton, or thaumayal, the thesis and antithesis, which create the synthesis, instead of stagnation and stasis of the number 1, the broken circle or spiral leading back and connected to the unmanifested and the pan-dimensional. 2 is also in this context the shadowless shadow and the avenger or the liberator of that which is bound by 1 within the universe A. Now just think of Asta and Liebe right now. They are 2 that have also become 1. They are bound by 1. I mean, to me, it's all there, you guys. I'm really hoping you see it too. But to keep going here. Within our order exists the Temple of the Black Light, which is dedicated to the channeling, manifesting, and strengthening of this anti-cosmic impulse of the primal pan-dimensional force within the universe A. Lucifer is, from this perspective, an aspect of Chavajoff, whose true name and number is of the essence 11, who is the bringer of this black light of Sitra Ara. Lucifer, for us, has got nothing to do with any Roman god, the planet Venus, or the element of air. Lucifer is a word and not a name. Lucifer is the bringer of light, the light of Orshain Bo Mashla. Those who seek the mystery of unmanifested will be illuminated by this black light, and those who do not have the essence of Sitra Ara within them will see nothing but the terror of darkness. So this is all perspective. You can be illuminated by this black light, or if you choose to see nothing but destruction, you will see the terror of darkness. Lucifer's light will forever be darkness in the eyes of the blind. A very deep line. And it goes back to just like the Christianic view of Lucifer. Lucifer's actual role was to bring knowledge. He was to bring knowledge to man, and was exiled for doing just that. And his name was essentially sullied for carrying out his duty, if you will. And what this line says here is that if you're influenced by the fact that Lucifer has a light that is not your typical light, where it shines on everything, it's instead a dark light. It will forever be darkness in the eyes of the blind. I mean, it's a pretty deep line, and I really do like that. The light of Lucifer is the Gnosis, or Doth, that is the gate to Sitra Ara, and in Sitra Ara are the paths to the mystery unmanifested beyond the crown of the dark gods. This is also the goal of Satan himself, to destroy the restrictions, forms, and manifestations of the Sephirotic emanations from Ein Sof, so that he himself can also become free to return to the womb of the dragon. Now, this is actually a really interesting perspective here, because right here it says that he directly opposes and seeks to destroy the restrictions and the manifestations of the Sephirotic emanations from Ein Sof. Bad connotation, but chaos is just where everything is actually born and formed. So is his viewpoint bad? Is it good? It's both. And he seeks just to achieve this balance again, the way things should be. Very left side of Ein Sof itself.
Noir
Siyai Ahriman is the same concept as the black light within the Persian system and can be found within all anti-cosmic forms of esotericism. One can also recognize these kinds of ideas in some forms of Gnosticism, as in the traditions of the Luciferians, OATz, and Cainites. Out of the pleroma comes the